LWO1 WeatherNet. Liftoff conditions looking pretty good.
ESTS is ready for launch.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
Ten, 9, 8,
Side booster ignition.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 20th, and you're looking at a live view of Falcon 9 as it awaits its 8:02 a.m. Eastern Time launch from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center. My name is Jesse Anderson, a lead manufacturing engineer at SpaceX, joining you from our headquarters in Hawthorne, California. You're watching a live webcast for our 17th Starlink mission and our second mission of 2021. If you've been following Starlink development, then you know that Starlink is a constellation of multiple satellites that orbit the planet at about 550 kilometers with the potential to service the entire globe. And because they're in a low orbit, the round-trip data time between the user and the satellite, also known as latency, is much lower than with satellites in geostationary orbit. This enables Starlink to deliver services like seamless video calls that are usually not possible on other satellite internet services. And because Starlink's satellites fly in a global constellation, we can bring high-speed internet to places that previously had terrible service or no service at all. While this is our first Starlink mission of 2021, it is also notable because we are attempting to fly and land a Falcon 9 first stage for the 8th time, a first for Falcon 9. This booster debuted on our Demonstration 1 mission in March of 2019 and then flew again 3 months later on RADARSAT Constellation Mission. In 2020, it supported 4 Starlink missions as well as the SXM-7 mission at the end of the year. And we will be attempting to recover the booster again on our drone ship, Just Read the Instructions, and that's what you see on your screen, stationed off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean. If we are successful, it will mark the 72nd recovery of our Falcon 9 first stage. Falcon 9 was designed for 10 or more flights with minimal refurbishment between each flight, and today's flight gets us closer to that goal. Currently, we're at T-minus 14.5 minutes, and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff at 8:02 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's take a closer look at the rocket that you see on your screen. You're looking at a live view of Falcon 9, our 70-meter two-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle. The chief engineer held a technical poll at T-minus 1 hour, and the launch director held a propellant load and launch go-no-go poll at T-minus 38 minutes. Falcon 9 has been loading propellant since T-minus 35 minutes, and currently our rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, is nearly fully loaded on the first stage, which is the bottom two-thirds of the vehicle. The first stage is responsible for accelerating the vehicle through the Earth's atmosphere to the edge of space with the help of 9 Merlin engines. Now, directly above the first stage is the black carbon fiber interstage, which you can see there at the bottom of your screen. And connected to that is the Falcon 9 second stage. Second stage has a single Merlin vacuum, or MVAC engine. And once the first and second stages separate about 2.5 minutes into the mission, the MVAC engine will ignite for its first burn and then shut down for coasting. Today, we will be performing 2 second stage burns and deploying our Starlink satellites at approximately 1 hour into the mission. The 2 burns allow us to deploy our satellites into a circular orbit, which in turn helps them get to their final orbit much faster. Now you'll notice this large nose cone at the top of the rocket that you're looking at on your screen. This is called the fairing. That's where the stack of Starlink satellites is safely housed. The fairing protects the satellites from aerothermal heating, aerodynamic loads, and contamination during ascent. As you may know, space is a vacuum, so we will jettison the fairing halves to reduce some weight as the second stage continues on its journey to orbit. Today, we are using flight-proven fairing halves, and Miss Tree and Miss Chief, which you are looking at on your screen, we'll be attempting to recover them by wet recovery, meaning we will be retrieving them from the water. Now, weather is looking 90% favorable at the launch site, which you could see that beautiful view there with a slight chance of cumulus cloud development this morning. At our recovery site in the Atlantic Ocean, ground level winds are in the forecast today. Now, these winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on previous flights. Therefore, today's mission will be what we call an envelope expansion on our first stage landing wind performance, meaning we are going to test the wind limits of our vehicle upon landing. Now, with that, the vehicle, satellites, weather, and range are all looking good for an on-time liftoff just a few minutes from now. Since our last launch in November of 2020, we've brought Starlink to a handful of new communities in the US, Canada, as well as the United Kingdom, which we're really excited to tell you about. In Canada, we signed our first customer, the Pikangikum First Nation Reservation, which is located in a remote area of Ontario Province, Canada, about 300 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. The Pikangikum First Nation are an Indigenous community of approximately 2,000 to 3,000 people, representing 400 to 500 family households. The area is so remote that for the majority of the year, all shipments are sent via chartered airplane, except during the coldest weeks when trucks are able to travel across ice roads to reach the community. Given the remote and terrain challenges of the Pikangikum First Nation, it is cost prohibitive to update or lay new infrastructure. Our Starlinks were delivered to the community for use in residences, community buildings, and businesses. Here's a look at how Starlink is positively impacting the Pikangikum First Nation Reservation.
All the projects I've probably been involved in, this is, for me personally and professionally, the most rewarding one. I've never worked with a community or a customer or a client that's been more excited about something or happier. And I just, I don't know what could be more rewarding than that.
After many, many months of trying to get internet to Pikangikum through other means, Dave was really determined to find a different way. He began doing a lot of research and eventually reached out to SpaceX.
They went back and they got the approval, and they came back to me and said that Pikangikum was going to be the first SpaceX Starlink client in Canada. That changed everything from that moment on.
I work for Pikangikum Health Authority. I'm a community person who really believes in their community, and I hope that it gives the younger generations a little bit of hope. We're creating a pathway for the younger people.
It's a long time coming. The biggest thing will be accessing services. I think that was the biggest issue for us.
Better services in terms of how health is delivered remotely and education.
Up until Thursday of last week, you couldn't get a college education from Pikangikum. You can now. That access to that information allows them to change the world and shape their path and future.
This is a monumental deal. I mean, for the community of Pikangikum to be able to have high-speed internet within 15 minutes of it landing on the ground is incredible.
Yeah, you're laughing because you know what it was like before. Before it was like three. Like three.
I never expected to see that kind of number.
Yeah, it's better than 60 kilobytes per second. That's actually how fast our internet was.
This solution can be used for healthcare, for education, for virtual court purposes. Anything that you can think of that's done virtually in another environment or in another city can now be done in Pikangikum in a remote fly-in community.
I can only think of the difference that it can make at the school for the students. Right now, because of COVID-19, all of our instruction is online.
From a perspective of policing, it's very difficult sometimes to do business in a timely fashion. A lot of challenges that we see right now, we're going to be able to overcome them due to the speed.
Just that we were a part of the project and that we had the pleasure to help them get this far is just awesome.
My goal has always been to start with the youth, the kids, the children. When that playing field isn't level, then we're doing something wrong. I think what we've done here is that there's still a lot of work to do, but at least we have access to technology and information, and hopefully that playing field is at least a little closer to being level.
It's pretty exciting, and I'm sure the community is just as excited as I am today.
Everyone deserves to have this kind of service because at this point in history, Internet isn't just a luxury, it's a need.
I'm just hoping that's the start of a great thing.
It is so incredible to see the community's excitement and gratitude, and our Starlink team is really proud to be able to help communities like the Pikangikum First Nation Reservation. Also, since our last mission in November, we signed up Marysville, Ohio, as well as the Wise County Public School District in Virginia, which will help bring satellite internet service to almost 50 families in that rural community who otherwise would have limited access to high-speed internet. And lastly, earlier this month, we expanded our Better Than Nothing beta program to include customers across the pond in the United Kingdom. Within the northern US and Canada and now the UK, we are focused on rural and remote areas where there is no easy access to fiber or cable. If you're interested in our service, head over to starlink.com for more information. We are currently just under T-minus 6 minutes from liftoff, and Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. Our next event will be the Transporter Erector, or TE, retracting slightly away from the vehicle at T-minus 4.5 minutes. Now, the TE is that large trusted structure that you can see right behind Falcon 9 on your screen. We use the TE to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. The TE also routes the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and satellites until Falcon 9 goes on internal power and clears the pad. At liftoff, it will retract even further in order to clear the way for Falcon 9's ascent. We're just under 25 seconds away from that TE retraction. You could see those white clouds around Falcon 9. That's what happens when the LOX hits the ambient air there. We're just waiting for that TE retraction. We've got a good, nice close-up view here. Again, what you're looking at on your screen is the top of the vehicle. And that transporter erector should be retracting here soon. And there you can see it on your screen. It looks very slow and very slight, but there it is moving back. Now, the first and second stages are both nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene, fuel, and liquid oxygen. Super chilled liquid oxygen is our propellant oxidizer, and as I just mentioned, it's what's creating those white clouds that you can see right there on your screen. That happens when it's exposed to the warmer ambient air. First stage should finish prop loading in a second here, and second stage at T-minus 2 minutes. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 is in startup, and what that means is that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Now, they'll light the Merlin engines at about T-minus 2 seconds, and liftoff will be commanded at T-minus 0. We use T-Teb as our ignition fluid, and when it mixes with oxygen, it burns a green-colored flame, so you might see a green flash near T0. We then allow fuel into the thrust chamber, and the engine comes up to power for liftoff. Now, the Starlink payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket Weather is looking great, as you can see there on your screen, and the range is green for launch. And we just passed the T-minus 2 minute mark.
Stage 2 locks closed out.
And there's that call out that LOX load is complete on both first and second stage. Just about 15 seconds or so, we will start venting out the transporter erector liquid oxygen line. And there you can see it on your screen, those white clouds. As I mentioned, this is the venting, just clearing out the line on the transporter erector. About 15 seconds or so, Falcon 9 will be in startup, and stage 1 and stage 2 will begin pressurizing for launch. And Falcon 9 is in startup. There's that call out. Falcon 9 is in startup. Now we're waiting for the go for launch from the launch director in a few seconds here.
Starlink, Falcon 9, LD is go for launch.
And there's that call out that we are go for launch this morning. So at T-minus 30 seconds, all systems are go for launch. So let's listen into the terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 takes our Starlink satellites into orbit.
Stage 1 press for flight.
Minus 15 seconds.
Falcon 9 is configured for flight.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Propulsion is nominal.
At T-plus 40 seconds, we've got a beautiful view of Falcon 9 successfully lifting off
Telemetry is nominal.
from Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center, carrying our stack of Starlink satellites to orbit. And we are throttling down the vehicle, the engines, in preparation for max Q, or maximum aerodynamic pressure. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees on ascent, so slowing down the vehicle helps us pass through the short period.
Max Q.
And there's that call out that we've passed through max Q. Now, in about a minute, we'll have 3 events happening. That'll be main engine cutoff, or what we call MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, which is second engine start 1. Now, MECO is where we shut down all 9 of those M1D engines on the first stage to slow the vehicle down in preparation for stage separation. And that's where the first stage separates from the second stage. First stage will start making its way.
Back is chilling.
First stage will start making its way back to Earth for landing, while second stage continues on its journey with the third event, which is SES-1, or second engine start 1. And that's where we light up the MVAC engine, and it propels the second stage along with the Starlink satellites to orbit. We've just got some awesome views on the screen. Such a beautiful morning. We're just about 15 seconds away from those 3 events: MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
And MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition and throttle up.
And there you just saw MECO and stage separation on your left-hand screen. On your right-hand screen is the second stage. We're waiting on fairing deploy coming up here shortly.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And there you could see the fairing halves have been deployed, and you could see them falling back to Earth. And with that stage separation, that confirms the 8th successful flight for this Falcon 9 booster on ascent. So very exciting. And as a reminder, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves today with our recovery ships Mystery and Mischief. Now, as Stage 2 heads towards its targeted drop-off orbit, Stage 1 will execute 2 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. And that first burn is called the entry burn. That's where 3 of the 9 M1D engines will reignite. And this helps
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
This helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. The second and final burn for the first stage is the landing burn. Each of the M1D engines has 190,000 pounds of thrust, which is just enough to slow down the vehicle rapidly to touch down for landing, as the landing burn is just a single engine burn. And again, this is the vehicle's 8th flight, so it is our life leader. It has completed a successful ascent and stage separation, so let's see if we can land it for the 8th time, which will be a first for Falcon 9.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
You heard that call out that both vehicles are nominal. Just a little over a minute away from that entry burn start on the first stage. And what you see on your screen is a view looking forward on the left-hand screen. Now we've changed to the looking aft on first stage. And on your right-hand screen is a view of that MVAC engine on second stage. That second stage engine, that MVAC engine, has a thrust of 220,500 pounds of thrust in a vacuum. It's a pretty powerful engine there. And we're just about 20 seconds or so away from that entry burn on the first stage. You can see those grid fins are deployed, helping to steer the vehicle. And we do use nitrogen gas burst for attitude control.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
There's that call out and visual of the entry burn on the first stage on your left-hand screen. So it lasts about 20 seconds long.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
And that concludes the entry burn on first stage. And as a reminder, at our recovery site in the Atlantic Ocean, ground level winds are in the forecast today. These winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on
nominal trajectories.
That was just a call out that everything is nominal. These winds are potentially stronger than what Falcon 9 has experienced on previous flights. Therefore, today's mission will be what we call an envelope expansion on our first stage landing wind performance, meaning we're going to test the wind limits of our vehicle upon landing. So let's see if we can stick this landing today. Again, it also will be the 8th landing if we do land this vehicle. And we're just about 30 seconds away from that landing burn start on the first stage. And what you're looking at on your screen is a nice view of the second stage. Still looking nominal.
Stage 1, landing burn, start up.
There's that call out. Landing burn has started on first stage. Let's see if we could stick this landing. There's a view of the drone ship on your left-hand screen.
Stage 1, landing leg, deploy.
Looks like we lost that live view on the first stage. We'll wait for confirmation. And there you can see on your screen, we have landed the Falcon 9 for the 8th time. This is our life leader. What an amazing morning. That is an awesome view. And we're just waiting for SECO 1 on second stage.
And SECO.
And there's that call out for SECO 1. Waiting for confirmation of good orbit.
Nominal insertion.
And there's that call out for good orbit on second stage. What an exciting morning. We've landed that first stage for the 8th time. And now that second stage is going to coast.
Signal, Newfoundland.
Second stage is now going to coast in this orbit for the next 35 minutes or so. And while that happens, take a look at this, the animation. We'll have an animation showcasing where we are in the coast phase. So we'll see you back here at T plus 45 minutes for that second stage relay. Got the sun beaming into our camera view there.
Payload deploy confirmed.
What you are seeing live are those Starlink satellites in space drifting away from our second stage, which confirms deployment. Shortly, they will deploy their solar array, and over the next few days and weeks, they will distance themselves from each other and use their onboard ion thrusters to make their way to their operational orbit. Beautiful live view. And that brings our webcast to a close. Thank you to the Range and the FAA for supporting today's mission. And thanks to all of our viewers, as well as all of those in the US, Canada, and the UK who ordered Starlink under our public beta program. If you're interested in being a part of our beta program, head over to starlink.com and sign up. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.